am doing I don't say a complex yoga pose, because I would imagine a lot of us do this when they're kids. And I've always been able to do this, even as a kid. And I see a lot of yoga students who long to achieve this pose or a headstand or a lot of complex arm balances. And it's interesting because I had done a yoga workshop where the yoga instructor said that she spends 45 minutes doing these types of poses. So she will do these leg lifts, she'll do the twists, and she'll spend a good amount of time in like a shoulder stand or the king of poses, this headstand here. And if you go to a lot of yoga studios, some of them won't even teach shoulder stands or headstands because the possibility of you hurting your neck. And that's certainly very possible if you're not paying attention. But even if I could do a yoga pose like this or any complex yoga pose, does that mean that I'm good at yoga? So again, I mean, you think about a pose like this one, the word yoga means seat. And it's something that you should be able to sit in and be comfortable and not have a lot of gripping going on. So the goal of the pose is not necessarily the achievement of it, but the mindfulness and equanimity of it. So can you keep yourself focused? And when I studied with Dharma Mitra, he actually would have us in a shoulder stand or a headstand like this one and have us meditate in this. And over time, it gets a little difficult. So again, when you think about yoga poses, again, someone who is good at yoga might be good at a yoga posture. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're good at yoga. So the posture is separate from the yoga practice itself. And ultimately, when you think about these postures, yes, they are a way of helping you steady the mind, because lots of times a yoga pose will help you get rid of some of the, unsettledness and restlessness inside of you. And that's good. I mean, certainly some people might find yoga in a really good run or, really good, a really heavy, hard workout. They might get a lot of the restlessness out of that. And then that could be your yoga. That could be your asana, is getting all those ickiness out of you, and then you can move on to the other limbs of a yoga practice, which is you go through your yamas and niyamas, and you go through your breath practice. You go through the withdrawal of the senses, and then you go through your meditation, concentration. And the ultimate goal of yoga, the eighth limb of yoga is this idea called samadhi. And this is this idea that you are ultimately with God or with some sort of higher being. And this is what yoga is. It's not necessarily just
a bunch of stretching in calisthenics, or hot calisthenics, and it's not about arm balances or making sure that you have the right um, the right the right yoga pants. That is not yoga. Yoga in the second sutra is about calming those mental fluctuations in the mind. And when people say, oh, well, she's really good at yoga or he's really good at yoga, it's a matter of, have they mastered the fluctuations in their mind? So ultimately, that is what good at yoga is. And if you actually read through the Yoga Sutras, you'll find that in the very last book, they say, well, once you've achieved this calming of the mind, then you really don't need yoga anymore. So the practice of yoga is about stilling the mind. It's not about the pose. It's not about proper alignment, although proper alignment can help keep you safe. But it's less about what the pose looks like. It's less about mastering or conquering a pose. It's mostly about, how does the practice that you practice calm the mental fluctuations in your mind? So I hope that you would continue whatever yoga practice you might be, whether it is a true asana practice, whether it's a vinyasa practice, whether it is a spiritual practice, which is called bhakti. Is it a breath practice? Is it running? Is it some sort of physical practice that helps you calm your mind? But ultimately, it's going to be your practice. You tailor it to whatever experiences that you've had that led you into the need for calming those fluctuations in your mind. So namaste.